Hi and welcome back to the Jen and Sean Show. I'm Sean.
I'm Jen.
And we're here to tell you about things that we've done that we think you will find interesting around Melbourne, interstate and sometimes even overseas. So what did we do this time, Jen?
We went to the Museum of Desire.
Desire. This was a really interesting event. Tell me more about the Museum of Desire. What is it?
It's a fever event. So Fever started, I'm going to be referring to my notes here as well, so you'll have to excuse me looking up and down. Fever started in 2014, and they're essentially, I missed that bit where they describe what they do. They basically just put on different events, pretty much. Quirky type things. We've been to a couple before. We went to one that was a candlelight event. They're very well known for those, where they'll have musicians and the rooms are fully lit up with candles, not real candles obviously because that could be a nightmare, but those little tea lighty things that look like
candles. Real musicians but playing like Coldplay or
Fleetwood Mac was the one we went to. I think they've done a Queen tribute. They've had all sorts of different ones.
But this is quite a departure from that, isn't it?
It is. Well, they did Banksy as well, which we went to, and that was really good.
Yeah, check our other video for that. We did a nice walkthrough, in our opinion. Well worth it. A lot of fake stuff, but ultimately
still good.
Worth our time.
Definitely.
Still running at the moment too, so you should check it out.
If you get the chance. But yeah, this was the Museum of Desire.
Yeah, so this was really different because it was an interactive art exhibition, I'll say. And I picked this as a Christmas present for Jen because I'm a bit of a perv, but I wanted to surprise her with an experience. So something that's not wrapped up, but something that's a little bit different that we could really look forward to as a couple and go on and experience.
Very much out of the ordinary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So my research on this was pretty sparse, but again, because I'm a bit of a perv, it was... What caught my attention was that it was R18, so as mature audiences only were invited to this. It was located in Collingwood in a really sort of out-of-the-way laneway in Collingwood where you had to travel to find it.
Very unassuming. You'd never just stumble across it and go, oh, what's that? You really had to be looking for it. And even then... It was sort of a double take and going, oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Is this where we're going?
Yeah, it was very different. So the cost to go to this was around $40 per person, so pretty reasonable for a unique event. It's meant to be the only one of its kind in the world.
I've certainly never heard of it.
Yeah. But from what I could see, it wasn't like porn. It was more about an experience. You had interactive exhibits. You could see installations. That's a very much better word.
It's very arty.
Yeah. Well, our last podcast we did was on Mona, which was the Tasmanian Museum, which itself is very quirky. Modern.
No.
Museum of New and...
Old and new art.
Fuck it. I don't know. Everyone's just called Mona. Cue Craig McLachlan. Hey, Mona! And we're back. This one was a short walk through. We had to pick a time. It said you were allocated 90 minutes, but... You know, what the heck. But,
you can take as long as you like.
Yeah.
They weren't really enforcing anything. There was no one coming behind you with a big stick going, right, get out. It was, you could take as long as you like.
But I really liked it. It was really different.
It was very, very interesting. It was arty. I mean, I went to an art college, so it was kind of like, you know, a lot of the people that I went to uni with would have been producing similar style works to a lot of the stuff that was in there, which was quite cool.
So what we're going to do is take you through a couple of the exhibits that we saw, give a bit of an impression of them. There were some of our favourites. Each of us had those. The type of people that were going through it, the overall mood of it as well, and why we think you should probably check it out before it disappears. I think it runs to the end of February. So it's definitely one to sort of catch now while you still can. What was your favourite experience or exhibit, Jen?
Oh, I reckon probably the Infinity Room.
All right, what'd that look like? We've got some videos so you can see what we see.
We put some video in there. So essentially it was, they told us at the start you had to take your shoes off when you're in there. So, and this reminded me a lot of Team Labs in Tokyo as well, in that flower room that was in there. But you go in to a room and it's mirrored floor, walls, ceiling, and there's one whole wall that's a projection. In this case, it was like, I want to say a music video only because that's the best way I can describe it. But it was, songs, music, and very, very bright, funky
drag queen video.
A
lot of makeup,
playing on it.
A lot
very
of flair.
Cool music. That
but
was
good.
The Huxleys, I think that was.
That's right. Yep.
Yes. That was really good. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And I think that was our first one that we walked into because to set the scene, it was a single story floor, but it was all very dimly lit. You enter into the reception area and then it took you down several hallways.
How did you enter into the reception area?
Through the vulva. I found it. It was, quite grand.
We've got a picture of that too. We'll put up for you.
And again, we're making it sound a little bit seedy, but it really wasn't.
No, it was very cool.
Very
well
polished,
done.
very well done.
Yeah.
So that was our first exhibit that we went through. One of my favourites was the laser violin.
That was really well done.
So to set the scene there, it had these. We were given a warning by the friendly staff who were really quite young. I felt a little bit pervy walking in there.
Yeah.
But you walked into this room where there was a barrier, so you couldn't go too far into it. But there was probably about 8 lasers fanned out in front of you, which you could run your hand through.
They were vertical. Yeah.
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 And every time you broke the laser, a orgasmic sound would come out from a male or a female. But it would,
and the image was on the screen in front as well.
Yeah.
With different... they were kind of dancing in the end, I think, and the facial expressions changed, and it was really quite cool. You could make your own
really
song,
creative. Yeah, there was no moaner, but there was a lot of moaning.
Yeah, and depending on where you broke the laser, like the height of it and the speed of it, altered the sound.
It was a different pitch.
Yeah,
yeah.
Very
so that was good, but they warned you not to put your head in it because if a laser gets in your eyeballs, then
that's not good.
Yeah, you're blind.
Yeah.
So no, don't do that.
It worries me that they have to actually do that as a disclaimer. They go, don't stick your head in the laser.
People are just
apparently that's a thing.
Stupid.
That's a thing.
Yeah. So we wandered out of there. Probably my second favourite, or most, not favourite as such, but one that was really quite, I don't know, confronting's not the right word, but it was the interactive area where you got to play games. In the room.
At the end one with the ball pit, the booby pit.
The booby pit. So it was a whole area where you think of a, this is going to sound weird, but go with me. Think of a child play centre, but everything's leaning towards...
Adult play centre.
Adult play centre. So you've got a ball pit, but all the balls are in the shape of little boobs with...
Nipples on the front.
Nipples on the front. That was one section. You had to take your shoes off and dive into the boobs.
Apparently someone had lost their keys in there.
So they had to go back a second time. I reckon
to
that was
dive
strategic,
in and get their keys
so
out.
they could get that whole...
They did warn us at the start not to get in there with anything loose in your pocket that you might lose because it's very hard to retrieve.
It was deep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Then it had butt putt. So it had a putting course.
It wasn't a putting green,
cheeks.
it was pink.
It was pink, yeah. But you had to put the ball in between the butt cheeks. What was another thing they had there? Quoits, but not quoits as you believe it would be.
The thing onto the hook. No, the hooks were something else.
Yeah, rubber dildos, people.
Yeah,
all the colours of the rainbow.
All of them.
Yep. So they really made an effort to...
And the skill tester.
Make you have a lot of photos and videos. So it wasn't restricted from that perspective. So it really invited you to be involved, which you will hear in a moment how involved some people did actually get in this exhibit itself. What was the probably most confronting thing you saw?
Oh, the room with was it the fantasy room or the...
What was it called? I think it's written down there, but it was like a booth, like a photo booth.
No, not that one.
Oh, that wasn't confronting for you?
No,
Okay.
no. The other one that had
Just
all
me then.
the stories about, like was it the masturbation fantasy room or
Oh,
something like that?
yeah, Masturbation Nation or something.
Yeah, and they had all the exhibits of... Anyway, that was a bit much.
All right, let
That
me
was a
take
bit
you through.
much.
So there's a small video of it here, but you don't get to see what's in these boxes. So you go into a room and all these glass boxes are numbered, and each of them is an item, which could be a plane ticket, or it could be a rubber mask, or it
Jar
could
of
be
Nutella.
jar of Nutella.
And it had like a date and...
Like a personalised story of where couples or an individual has used said object in a particular way to seek their own pleasure. Again, it drew you in to read the stories. You go in there and you sort of quickly lose your inhibitions with other people that are around. You're not taking your top off or anything like that. But you're reading these little stories and they're really kind of, flirty and weird.
Somewhat odd. That was a bit...
There were things there.
It was a bit much by the end of it. It's like, all right, we'll move on from
not
that
everyone's down for, which is fine.
Yeah.
Most things there, actually. So that was confronting for you. Interesting. My confronting one was, you first of all went to a photo booth and it had a timer and you could put a filter on it, but the photo was then publicised in a big room where it had multiple TV screens, like set up like frames.
It's like part of the installation.
Yeah, so it invited you to shoot from not only a different filter, but at different angles. Some were
there was 4, so there was one there, one there, one there, and one there, and you could pick which one you wanted.
And some people did.
Yeah.
I found that confronting because some people that were walking through, because all the pictures, remember, of people that were walking through the exhibit,
at some point
had their boobs out, one individual had their bits out. That was confronting. So what it made me think of is that the exhibit itself definitely wasn't porn or it wasn't smutty, but the people that are going through maybe were a little bit smutty. So that was kind of interesting.
And then there was the photocopier.
Yeah, it made you never want to go near a photocopier again. Describe it.
It was like a giant big copier, like one of those big standalone jobs. And they'd painted it all pink, and the whole room was plastered with black and white printouts of basically, if people drunk at office parties that either photocopy their butt or photocopy their boobs, and that was the whole room. The whole room
was covered in A4, black and white.
And then there was a projection screen as well of that, I think, that just kept rolling through all of them as well. It was like... Ugh.
It was sending a message, again, about how eroticism, in my perspective on that, can be in everyday spaces. There were a lot of other exhibits where phone booths, which was quite cool. You pick up the phone and there was a pre-recording of, it was
a theme.
Some sort of, weird, erotic, but,
No, one of them was like the 70s.
That's right.
And so it was all what you would expect from one of the cheesy Chicka Bow Wow movies from back in the day. As if you would, like, almost like a phone sex line or something, I guess. Kind of.
Yeah.
And then there was an English-themed one. I can't remember what the thing was for that one.
No. But it was neat because it was like
the
old school booths,
like,
and inside was a lot of different photos and that sort of stuff. So overall, there was a lot to look at. You can definitely take your time. You weren't pressured. It wasn't packed. There was, overall probably 20 or so exhibits that you could look at. And obviously when you exited through the gift shop, and that had some pretty interesting things that you could pick up as well. Some of them you would find potentially in a sex shop, but it wasn't.
Some you'd find in an art store, though, too. There were some very
Yep.
arty photography books there, which I thought was quite a nice
Blurred
touch.
the line. I think it really leaned towards more arty than sex shop,
Definitely.
which was really kind of cool. The setup was great. The sort of mood and the way they did it, and they linked in technology, because there was one there where you could take your pulse.
Yeah, you put your finger on the, I don't know, little sensory thing, and it would flash like those. Oh, what were those sphere things called? You know, the ones where they used to have the electric thing and you put your hand on it, and the plasma ball. So it was kind of like that, but when it would pick up your pulse, the lights flashing through the room and around everywhere would change. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's picking up on your pulse, so you can see your heartbeat as well as feel it, because it would actually tingle a little bit. So you would both have your finger on there, and it would equally light up as you went through.
And the other one that had that screen, there was an image up there, but you could slide something in a different fashion and it would actually change the artwork projected, and you could come up with some pretty cool patterns and stuff. That wasn't really anything erotic about that one. That was just very, very arty and very cool.
Yep.
Quite like that.
Yeah, it was good, actually. Something you'd find at Science Works if you've ever been there. You walk in front of a screen and then it's projecting a 3D image. And changing that up as well. One of the other things that we wanted into it had a theatre that was set up, and you're thinking, oh, what's going on here? But describe what we saw.
So it was macro, I'm going to say, videography.
What's that mean?
Like very, very close in, very detailed.
Okay.
And it was slowed right down. And initially it was, you could see frogs, like little green tree frogs, leaping through the air, and you'd see like their legs stretch out and the, you know,
David Attenborough-esque.
Very, very nature-like. And then you watch a bit further, but you realise that the frogs are all landing on and launching from naked bodies. And yeah, that was
it was unexpected. The layout was like
it was really well done,
home theatre with big, comfy leather lounges, you know, going inviting you to sit. But
red velvet curtains and everything.
Red velvet curtains. And yeah, it just was playing a lot of nature, bouncing off boobies.
The quality of the actual footage, though, was amazing. Like, it was so detailed. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't know how they would have shot that.
A lot of effort.
Yeah,
a lot of effort.
A lot of naked people and little frogs, and I don't know how you get them to jump where you want them to go. But anyway, that was pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah.
So it really surprised as well. Through our podcast, we sometimes talk about, you know, whether or not it's suitable for everybody. What are your thoughts on that?
No, because very few things are. People are so different. But I mean, yeah, if you're going in there with an open mind, like I had no idea, didn't even know where we were going, and thought, oh, this is interesting. And if you take it for what it is, and sort of, you know, free your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, well, this is expression, it's art, it's whatever.
Well, if you go to an art gallery, you're going to see sometimes confrontational things.
Correct.
Again, from Mona, you see some things there.
Yeah.
So having a look at this, it was really no different.
No.
It really took it in a lot of different directions, but it focused on that. It's not a genre, but it's a whole...
It's almost like, well, it could, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It was ecosystem. I don't know.
Erotic art, I don't know. But yeah, if you take it for what it is and sort of appreciate what's gone into creating a lot of these things, I mean, the concepts and the thought process and the execution for a lot of it, like when you look at how they actually put these things together, there's a hell of a lot of work in it.
Very polished.
And very creative.
Yeah, and as a bit of a, you know, a nerd, I really appreciated the technology that went into a lot of this. A lot of the projections that were there, it was top quality, the laser stuff that was set up, but then also the textiles they had set up. They had these giant, if you could picture it, giant totem poles. And
it looked like they had just two little ottomans at the base of it. But if you
think
about it,
zoom out, it's a giant phallic, funny looking penis.
We'll put a photo in here.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool too.
But they were crocheted, I think.
Yeah, very surprising.
Very cozy.
I was going to say that maybe it's not for your mum, but maybe your mum would get a kick. I was reading the reviews, which are overwhelmingly positive for this particular exhibition. It's probably halfway through. There was about 150 odd reviews, and 4.5 stars was the average. Is something, but if you're an art lover or looking for something different, really catch it before it's still there.
Yeah,
because
I think it was good.
It was definitely well worth it. And at the very end, you get to go into your own photo booth as well.
Yeah.
Where you can, cuddle up and get a souvenir photo.
Yeah, or completely mess up the first photo because you weren't ready for it and get a very blurred photo as you were halfway between flicking your hair and sitting down.
In fact, most of it we pretty much did. But yeah, a memento nonetheless, which was really good.
Yeah.
So
it was $2.50, I think.
$2.50 well spent.
Yeah.
So Museum of Desire by Fever, showing now in Collingwood, $44 a ticket. It's book online. Staff are wonderful.
Yeah.
The event space is really good. It's really
Parking's
close to a few
easy.
pubs. Parking's really easy. And yeah, definitely worth your while. So if you're in Melbourne, go and definitely check it out. What did we do after that?
We went to get a drink and a bite to eat. Initially, we were going to a certain pub to do some
Celebrity
stalking. We're not going to say who.
Mick Malloy.
Oh, you're going to have to cut that out.
No.
Yeah, I'm
I'm putting it out there.
No.
Number one fan.
No.
Mick Malloy.
Not putting it out there.
Yeah.
I'm editing that.
I'm
Anyway.
putting it on loop.
No, anyway. But we only realised, looking back on our research and putting some notes together for the show, that someone took us to the wrong pub.
May not have been the right pub. I'm not entirely convinced it wasn't. But by God, it was a really good pub.
It was excellent. Food was incredible. They had a really nice rooftop bar. Lovely afternoon. Oh, it was great. So it was
good.
It was a good era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Union Hotel in Brunswick. So Union House, actually.
House.
I think it's got... Fuck, I just get it all wrong. Union House,
In
Richmond. Yeah, you can't really miss it, but definitely head upstairs to the deck. It had TVs up there. The Test cricket was on. The sun was shining. Really good food.
Oh, so good.
Really good food.
Yep. Staff were awesome.
Yep, so highly recommend.
Yep.
So that's what you can do when you go and do an impromptu Museum of Desire. You can go out and grab some nice eats afterwards
Well,
as well.
you're in Melbourne. There's always somewhere close by
If
where
you
you
don't,
can get a
it's
decent feed.
un-Australian is what I say. So do yourself a favour, someone famously said.
Yeah.
Was it Mick Malloy?
No.
Okay, fine. Well, that's what we have on our podcast today. Thanks for watching or listening if you're going through the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our other videos. We're trying, so if you do like it, give us a comment, reach out, and hopefully you'll hear more of us soon.
If you've got any suggestions on where you think we should go, pop them down below.
Yeah, hell's pretty warm this kind of year, so that's maybe one suggestion, but, tickets are actually fairly plentiful, so what am I saying?
You'd probably cut that bit out.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.